Hey everyone, I've been playing League for a long time now, around 8 years. I coach a lot of people, and recently while coaching, I got an idea that it could be really helpful to make a video on how I would go about learning mid lane from scratch now that I know what I know. Basically if I could go back in time. Because one thing I noticed from coaching is that a lot of you just focus on the wrong things entirely. So that's what this video is going to be about, and let's just get right into it. Let's start with one of the most important topics and questions that I get. What champion or champions should I play? Is having a well-rounded champ pool important? Well, first off, no matter if you've been playing for a while or are new, the way you should be choosing your champion is actually way more simple than you think. You should actually just go through the champion list, find a mid laner that seems cool to you or fun to play, and play that one. The point is, the most important factor when it comes to picking a champion is how much fun you have playing them. Yes, even if you like the difficult ones like Yasuo or Azir. No champion in this game is too difficult to the point where you can't play them after some practice. Having fun is so important because League is a very mental game. If you're bored, you won't be able to focus. If you're not having fun, you get tilted way faster and easier and end up focusing on winning more than improving. If you're really enjoying your champion, you'll be so focused on learning and getting better at them and having fun that you won't be able to get tilted. With that being said, yes of course, simpler champions will make it a faster climb because you'll spend less time focusing on champion mechanics, but in the long run, it really won't even matter. Every champion is good enough to climb to Challenger, so don't get caught up thinking things like, is my champion good enough? Did the patch make my champion too weak? Etc. You can play meta if you want, but one of my favorite things about playing off meta stuff is that players don't have experience playing against them. For example, I play a lot of Alawi mid as a counterpick to certain champions. To this day, even with Alawi being released in 2015, 7 whole years ago, players in Challenger, even pro players, get stomped by my Alawi because they don't understand how her kit works. Alright, now let's talk about champion pool. I get the same question all the time. I main X champion, what champion should I add to my pool? Having a well-rounded champion pool doesn't really exist. When it comes to champ pool, basically, for the best and fastest results, you want to play one champion. And the more champions you add to it, the slower the climb will be, which is fine. It all depends how fast you want to learn and climb. With all of this being said, I'm sure some of you are still curious what champions I would recommend. I have 2 main picks I would recommend to someone trying to learn mid, TF and Orianna. These 2 champions teach you some of the most important fundamentals of the game. TF teaches you good spacing in lane when it comes to trading, since his pick a card is an auto attack and you don't have mobility to jump into range and throw it or anything like that. He also teaches you map awareness and macro way more than others because of his ult. Ori on the other hand teaches you how to space, just like TF, but she's more of a damage and teamfight carry, whereas TF is a macro carry. So those are my 2 picks if you really don't believe me that playing what you find fun is most important. I wasted too much time thinking about champion pick the first years I was learning, and when I realized how important having fun was, I've never had a problem since, and I climbed way easier. Now that we took care of anything regarding champion, let's get into the good stuff. What's the most important stuff to learn first? It can be easy to be overwhelmed with the amount of topics and things to improve at, but to be honest, no matter who you're playing, you need to be focusing completely on laning, as laning is the most important part of the game. A player that consistently wins lanes will climb easy, because the more fed you are coming out of lane, the less work you need to put into killing people or to carry. If I go play on a Smurf in gold and purposely don't win lane and I just go even, it will be very hard for me to carry as well. And more specifically, these are the 3 things in lane you should be looking for: trading, wave control, and recalls. Notice, warding isn't on this list. I tell the players I coach that are gold and below to literally not even ward. There's 2 reasons. First, odds are, your wards aren't being placed in the right spots or at the right times, but more importantly, it adds too much to your mental stack. Part of what makes League difficult is focusing on a lot of things at once. You want to be limiting the amount of things you're focusing on when learning. Focus your brain power on 1 or 2 things so you actually improve at those things. If you constantly switch topics or focus on too many at once, you'll find yourself not really improving. That's why at SkillCap we have courses separated into individual concepts. Want to focus on laning? We got you covered with 7 courses. Interested in wave control instead? There's 5 courses waiting for you to uncover. Or maybe it's macro you're struggling with instead? I'm sure you're starting to get the idea. This is why SkillCap actually works. You can focus on mastering one topic at a time at your own pace. If it didn't work, we wouldn't be able to offer our rank improvement guarantee for years now. Join the hundreds of thousands of satisfied SkillCap members by clicking the link in the description below. Alright, let's start with trading. How would I teach myself trading if I could go back in time? I would tell myself to focus on 4 main things for any ability: the range, the cooldown, the damage, and if the ability is blocked by minions. For example, in this game I'm playing Orianna vs Swain. If you play vs Swain, you would notice that his E is his most important ability because it leads into a full combo for him. E, then pull and use W and Q. But if he misses E, he'll never really hit W as it takes way too long, and his Q is pretty short range and doesn't really do that much damage early. So from there, you would think, so how do I avoid E? Aside from just dodging it, it's an ability that gets blocked by minions on the way back. So in this clip, look where I'm standing. Because I know the range of his E, and the fact that it gets blocked by minions on the way back, I can stand here and look for a trade and know I can be completely safe. And this is what happens. I win the trade very hard because I avoided his most important ability and then I punished. This is called a trading pattern. Every matchup will have different trading patterns, and you need to try to distinguish them so you can learn how to play every matchup. When they are playing something like Swain or Cassio, I will always be looking to dodge their ability before trying to get too aggressive to land mine, because if they land theirs, it leads to a lot of damage, whereas Q is more of a poke and death by 1,000 cuts ability. Let's take another example where this applies but for melee. The one that comes to mind right away is Diana. If you're playing against Diana, she completely revolves around her Q. So knowing that, I would apply the same trading pattern as when I go against Cass or Swain. The next important thing I would tell myself if I was trying to learn everything about trading is to pay attention to champion strengths at different levels. In this game, I'm on Lucian vs Yone, range vs melee. It should be easy to tell early on that melee champions are really weak in the first 2 levels at least, especially if they don't have their gap closer until level 2 or 3. So if I know someone is weak, I want to play like they are weak and contest any CS they go for. Yone actually stacked up his Q at level 1 on Raptors and used it to jump in and try to grab the CS safer than he would normally be able to, but I still contested the CS with my Q and made him take damage for it. Then when he had no minions to defend himself, I made him take some more damage here since he wasn't respecting me. Then he walked up for this last hit, so I made him pay for that just with an auto. I hit level 2 and jumped in to chunk him with Q and E. Then I crashed the wave and hit him with an auto when he goes for this first CS. And finally, as he tries to grab some CS and clear the wave, I continue the same pressure and bring him down to about 15% health. So, from the start of the lane till now, Yone didn't grab a single CS without paying some kind of price for it. I know he's completely useless at this point, so why let him do anything for free, right? The main point here is paying attention to power levels at certain points in the game. If you actually pay attention to that and play around it, you will notice when most melee champions hit level 3, they can actually have kill pressure, or when Cassio hits level 3, she has all-in threat, but she's not very strong at level 1, etc. Something that goes hand in hand with trading though is wave control, of course. Since wave control can be kind of complicated at a high level, I would tell myself to first learn how the wave actually works, as in being able to tell what side it's pushing towards, how to get it to push the other way, how to get it to freeze. Learning these things is easy though. The harder part is learning what to actually do with the wave. If I could go back in time, I would tell myself, just know that pushing is the best thing you can do at almost any point, so learn to push and pressure the enemy laner. If you get ganked, that's a good thing. Pushing is so important, all the way up to challenger and professional play. So understanding that early is crucial. Getting ganked means you're putting pressure and making the enemy jungler feel like they have to gank you, which is less time they are spending ganking other lanes or farming. And a lot of the time you can turn the ganks or easily survive if you're playing right, especially if you're winning lane, and you should be winning lane if you're pushing. So how do I know when to hard push or slow push? If I could go back, I would just tell myself this. Early in the game, you're going to be doing a lot of slow pushing, then as the lane progresses and you hit levels 7 or 8, you start hard pushing because you want big waves to help you trade early, but later on, it becomes more about shoving and doing things on the map. In this same game, where I'm playing Lucian, notice early on, it's all slow pushes. Later though, I just start hard pushing the waves. Finally, let's talk about the third most important part about laning, recalls. Recalls are where most low elo players mess up. I'll tell my past self one thing. Understand that gold in your inventory is meaningless. You could have 100,000 gold, but it doesn't do anything until it's spent, and you want to try to be as strong as you can, as much as you can in this game. Meaning, you want to make sure your gold is spent as often as possible. I see too many players not recall when they have 400 to 500 gold in the early game, when that extra longsword or dark seal or amp tome is super important and can easily change how your trades go. Recall timers will become rarer and rarer the higher you climb, and the most common one will be when you crash a wave. If you have enough gold to buy an item, take the recall. If you have enough gold for your mythic item, shove your wave, recall. If you solo kill the enemy laner and have 2,000 gold in your inventory and are 1,500 total gold ahead of them, then because you just killed them and they spent their gold in base, they'll come back to the lane ahead of you. The gold is meaningless until it is spent. Alright, so like I said earlier, you need to focus your brain power on one thing at a time and on the most important things before moving on. The 3 things I just went over are by far the most important. When it comes to roaming, warding, tracking the jungler, or anything else, it all comes later. You don't even need to roam at all to climb. You need to win lane. That's always the first step, so put all your focus into that. And this doesn't change all the way until high elo. Alright guys, so if I went back in time to tell myself how to learn mid lane, this is exactly how I would do it. And I would have learned so much faster if I knew these things. But now, I can pass this knowledge to you, and you can be the one to learn fast. Alright, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about skill cap. So we offer a 5 division rank up guarantee, and I think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We had over 20 videos a week with over 2,000 guides curated into over 270 courses. No one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into ELO Hell over 1,100 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month to improve fast and get the rank you've always wanted. The link's in the description below. But that's going to bring us to the end of this video. We hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.